Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I'm Ghadi Francis coming to you from Beirut, Lebanon for a new episode of WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from this volatile region. Turkey is racing to rearm with fighter jets. Iran is threatening Israel and the United States if it is attacked. Israel attacking Lebanon and Washington urging Israel to abide by the ceasefire. All this is lined up, but first, the headlines. Hamas is back on the streets of Gaza. The group is enforcing itself in a major campaign. They are assassinating and executing rivals, clans, and militias in the middle of the street. All this to reassert the group's grip on the war-torn strip. We tell you more.
In the shadow of a ceasefire, Hamas is not laying down arms, it's turning them inwards. The group has launched a sweeping crackdown across Gaza, targeting clans and militias that had challenged its authority during the war. In Gaza City, 8 men accused of collaborating with Israel were blindfolded, made to kneel and executed at point-blank range on a busy street. In Deir al-Balah, armed raid teams hunted down the Astal militia. In Khan Yunis and Sabra, fierce gun battles erupted with the Mujahida and Dogmush clans. It's a violent reset. After months of hiding from Israeli strikes, Hamas wants to leave no doubt it wants to rule Gaza alone. Rival clans have been forced to publicly pledge loyalty. Militias linked to Israel are being systematically hunted down. The timing is crucial. The peace plan led by U.S. President Donald Trump envisions a future where Hamas disarms and steps aside from governing Gaza. But on the ground, the picture is different. Hamas is appointing new governors, patrolling streets, running administration, projecting power to gain leverage in negotiations ahead. For months, Israel had been striking its infrastructure. IDF claims it killed an estimated 20,000 fighters, destroying 90% of its rocket arsenals and targeting its tunnel networks. But now, intelligence assessments suggest a different reality. Israeli security assessments indicate that Hamas retains a reduced yet capable fighting force. Despite heavy losses, Hamas is believed to retain between 10 to 20,000 fighters, possibly more, and crucial sections of its tunnels remain intact. Israeli defense officials estimate up to 80% of that underground network still exists, a lingering threat beneath the rubble that makes the ceasefire a fragile balance. Neither side has laid down the basis of lasting peace. As Hamas tightens its internal grip, clan leaders warn of a brewing civil conflict with Israel-backed militias. And security officials say the group, badly wounded but not broken, is already positioning itself for the next round. The war may have paused. The power struggle inside Gaza clearly has not.
Washington's patience is wearing thin. Now Donald Trump is pressing Benjamin Netanyahu not to restart a war on Gaza. American Vice President, Secretary of State, and senior American envoys rushed to Tel Aviv amid a fragile ceasefire flickering on the edge. Watch this report.
The air crackled with tension. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Trump's trusted envoys, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, blitzed into Israel. A clear message sent upon their arrival: stand down. This is not routine diplomacy, this is crisis management. Then came the Knesset vote. While Vance was still in Israel, Israeli lawmakers on Wednesday advanced 2 bills paving the way for occupied West Bank's annexation. Netanyahu's own Likud party boycotted the vote, though members of his ruling coalition supported formal annexation. The move drew furious reaction from the American vice president.
It was a very stupid political stunt, and I personally take some insult to it. The West Bank is not going to be annexed by Israel.
Arab and Muslim countries, which Trump has been courting to provide troops and money for a stabilization force in Gaza, warn that annexation of West Bank is a red line. Back in Washington, Trump assures that Israel won't annex the already occupied West Bank.
The West Bank is, don't worry about the West Bank. Israel's not going to do anything with the West Bank, okay? Don't worry about it.
Also, because behind closed doors, American officials believe that Netanyahu might deliberately sabotage the ceasefire that Trump just brokered. Inside Gaza, a fragile ceasefire has brought temporary respite to the Palestinians, exhausted by 2 years of fighting. But even without the daily bombing, they are struggling to live amid the catastrophic destruction caused by Israeli bombing.
The shelling and bombing are what forced us to leave. We returned and the shelling did not stop. I swear we left the Abasan area and the shells were falling like rain.
The IDF continue to drop leaflets warning residents to avoid the so-called yellow line, the boundary behind which Israeli troops have pulled back and for the moment remain stationed under the current phase of the ceasefire.
There should be concerns as long as there are matters yet to be settled. There is still a yellow line and a red line. There is no Israeli withdrawal. Of course, we have to be afraid. We won't be afraid when there is an Israeli withdrawal to the pre-war borders. Only then there won't be fear.
They said there is a truce and we wanted to return to our homes. We have been humiliated while getting drinking water, finding shelters, and the brutal cold weather. We wanted to return safely, but there is no safety. This is not a life. This is not a life.
Inside Israel, tension is rising. Netanyahu's war cabinet faces mounting pressure from hardliners demanding total victory. While the US urges diplomacy first, West Asia stands on the edge. One misstep, one strike too far, and the region could slip into another war neither side can afford. Least of all, thousands of innocent Palestinians. West Asia Bureau, WION World is One.
Now Israel strikes Lebanon in a semi-daily manner. But in the recent, it has hit many targets in the mountains area, and it says it is hitting Hezbollah structures. This comes as reports suggest that the group is preparing itself for a ground invasion, a possible ground invasion. Reports say that Hezbollah is still arming itself and preparing itself northern Litani River. We tell you more.
Israel has carried out a series of airstrikes in Lebanon's eastern Bekaa Valley. Israel claims the targets included a Hezbollah training camp where operatives were gathered. Israel claims that a precision missile struck a manufacturing site that has been hit previously, too. The Israeli military says 5 fighter jets struck a total of 16 targets, including weapons storage areas, infrastructure and military facilities in the Bekaa and northern Lebanon. Israel claims the camp was used to plan attacks against its territory. The strikes come as Western intelligence officials warn of a growing Hezbollah buildup. Despite ceasefire agreements, Israel claims the group has been rebuilding its infrastructure north of the Litani River, rearming with rockets, recruiting new fighters and restoring bases previously targeted in Israeli strikes. Earlier, the Lebanese government announced a plan to disarm Hezbollah, and Israel agreed to scale back operations. But officials say Hezbollah is rebuilding faster than the Lebanese army can dismantle. A year after the ceasefire, the area that was supposed to be cleared of weapons is seeing a new wave of military activity. With tensions rising, Hezbollah is now preparing for a possible Israeli ground offensive. The group is fortifying positions, moving personnel, and warning against any strike. In Beirut, Hezbollah deputy leader Sheikh Naim Qasim has declared that the organization will not disarm under pressure from Israel or the United States. He stressed that his movement is not scared of the Israeli regime's military threats and drills, and urged the government to resist foreign demands. Washington's envoy, Tom Barrack, has issued a warning: if Lebanon fails to act against Hezbollah, Israel may launch a unilateral military operation. Israeli strikes, Hezbollah's rearmament, and growing signals of a possible ground invasion. The Lebanese front is on edge again.
Iran has threatened to unleash hell on Israel and US if it's striked. Now this comes as both Iran and Iraq close ranks in the region. We tell you more.
Iran has issued one of the most direct warnings yet to the US and Israel. IRGC Commander-in-Chief Major General Mohammad Pakpour, speaking in Tehran, declared that any future attacks on Iranian soil would be met with hellish retaliation. The message comes just weeks after Benjamin Netanyahu raised the alarm, warning that Iran is developing intercontinental ballistic missiles, weapons that, he claims, could reach as far as New York or Washington. But where does Iran's missile program really stand? Iran has already built a powerful arsenal of intermediate-range ballistic missile systems like the Khorramshahr and Imad, capable of striking targets across much of West Asia, including Israel. But moving from IRBMS to true ICBMS is a huge technological leap, requiring advanced propulsion, guidance, and re-entry vehicle technology. Iran's space program offers some clues. The Simorgh and Zuljana rockets have already put satellites into orbit, a sign of significant progress in multi-stage rocketry. But converting these into a precise, long-range weapon system would require years of development and a level of accuracy Iran has not yet demonstrated publicly. Iran, for its part, insists its missile and nuclear programs are purely defensive, a response, it says, to constant threats from hostile neighbors. Netanyahu's ICBM warning, however, comes at a highly tense moment with diplomacy, stalled a fragile ceasefire holding and Iranian-backed proxy groups operating across the region. Both sides see this as an existential struggle, Israel viewing Iran's missile program as an immediate danger, and Iran convinced it is under siege from relentless covert and overt attacks. And in this high-stakes game of missiles and diplomacy, every escalation, every statement resonates far beyond West Asia.
Turkey is racing to enforce its air force. Ankara is courting both Europe and the United States to infuse advanced fighter jets. This comes as threats from rivals in the region grow, like Israel. But this urgency has exposed a vulnerability in the Turkish military power. The next report tells you more.
Turkey is in a race against time and its neighbors. With its air fleet aging and regional tensions mounting, Ankara is pushing hard to secure 40 new Typhoon fighter jets from Europe and eventually even the US-made F-35s. Despite Washington's sanctions that currently block any deal, the big reveal is that Turkey is negotiating a fast-track plan. It wants to first acquire 12 second-hand Typhoons from Qatar and Oman, and then 28 new aircraft from the Eurofighter consortium of Britain, Germany, Italy, and Spain. This is part of a multi-billion-dollar order that could be sealed in a matter of weeks. But why the urgency? Israel's air strikes across the region, including attacks on Iran, Syria, Lebanon, and Qatar, have shaken Ankara. With Israel commanding a formidable arsenal of F-15s, F-16s, and F-35s, Turkey sees a gap that it cannot afford to ignore. Tensions between the two countries are already at their highest point in years, with both sides openly accusing each other of threats and hostile acts. But the American F-35s are a far more complicated story. Washington barred Ankara from buying them back in 2020 over its purchase of Russian S-400 missiles. Now reports say Turkey is floating a presidential waiver to sidestep Gaza sanctions and open the door to a deal. It's a political gamble, but both sides have signaled a desire to resolve the issue, and while Turkey waits, it's building its own firepower. The Khan stealth fighter is its homegrown answer to future air defense, but officials acknowledge that it is still years away from full deployment. The clock is ticking. With Greece expected to receive its F-35s in 3 years, and Israel already flying some of the world's most advanced aircraft, Turkey is determined to close the gap fast. This isn't just about jets, it's about regional power, prestige, and not being left vulnerable in an increasingly volatile region. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Back to Iran, there's a controversy going around social media now after a video from a private wedding hit the pages and the accounts on social media. Now why? It is because it's the private video of the wedding of Ali Shamkhani's daughter, one of Khamenei's close aides. She wasn't veiled. We tell you more.
The footage leaked online shows a lavish wedding